Welcome to the December 15th edition of the PFF Forecast. This is going to be a great episode. We're going to go over the Week 15 slate. We've got a new segment sponsored by Target. You're going to love it. Eric brought some heat for it, so prepare yourselves. And we'll pick a lock of the week. And then we've decided we're going to do recommendations. I think I'm just springing that on Eric for the first time, but we will do recommendations at the end of the podcast. Let's rock. All right. Before we get started, reminder, the Christmas season is coming, and you can get a PFF subscription for 25% off. Promo code Forecast. It also, we have a pretty heated competition between the podcasts. The NFL podcast has numbers on us, right? Because they have larger listenership, but our listeners are the more dynamic, the more resourceful. And I have faith that we'll catch up. So promo code Forecast, 25% off. It's a great gift. Get all of PFF's locked article content plus 0 to 100 grades weekly and all of the betting tools. That includes the best bets tool, which is really easy. You can pick it up, use it on your phone. I think that's my favorite part about it. I don't have to zoom in to use it, and see all props, sides, totals, and moneyline bets in one place. That's fantastic. Plus the player props tool, plus Greenline, the betting dashboards, plus the power rankings tool and the DFS optimizer with 25% off at pff.com with promo code Forecast. Also, if you're just looking for something free that you want to do this holiday season, there's also this. We'd love to hear more about what you like and what you want more of. So email us at contact, CONTACT at pff.com and let us know what your favorite PFF feature is. What do you love most on pff.com? And then what do you want most to see on pff.com? We'll put it on the wish list for 2022. All right. We're going to introduce a new segment to kick this off. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm. I thought we were going to bring back analytical edging, but apparently not.
When was the last time that we did that?
18. The Chiefs said you had to be Super Bowl champions.
Should we tell? I feel like we should maybe we have some new listeners that we also have some OGs who will remember. Look, this podcast is far from fantastic yet. We're getting there. Every step, every day, a little bit closer. But back when we started doing this, we were trying to come up with really interesting segments. And one of them was called analytical edging. And one of us would read the other a statement or a tweet or a piece of an article about something that was, quote, analytical that people freaked out about, and the other person would react accordingly. We should go find those and listen to them.
I think one of them was a tweet by Pat Thorman, who was talking about
legend
on huddled rates in the Super Bowl between the Eagles and Pats. That's how long ago it was. I remember that one specifically. I remember Speed Score being one. Speed Score
was definitely one
that really got us up. Yeah.
All right. Well, this segment is sponsored by Target. It is the take of the week, sponsored by Target. And you actually have two takes. I'll let you decide which one you want to get first.
My first take is that closing. Well, so for one, closing line value is more. It obviously matters over a big sample. Mm-hmm. I think this season, though, my target take of the week is early betting is not as, maybe not important is the wrong word, but not as
advantageous.
It's not something, betting early is not necessarily something you should prize because of all the uncertainty that COVID-19 is giving us again this year. But I don't think it's so. Again, I think we should rethink what early betting is at the NFL and college level, and reevaluate sort of our opinions, at least for this 1 year. I think in general, the sharps, they hammer the numbers into place, And if you get ahead of the number, you're going to win. This year, people who have gotten ahead of the number, as our colleague Robbie Greer said on Twitter, you're getting hammered. And a lot of that's noise, obviously. But a lot of that is also COVID-related stuff. And COVID-related stuff is literally the random walk of the NFL. So whereas line movements are generally speaking in the direction of efficiency, I think the line movements here, like the Raiders going from 7-point or 6.5-point dogs when we bet them. By the way, we bet this 6.5 on Monday. So, but now they're 1.5-point favorites. That has nothing to do with how sharp you and me are. Zero. Yep. Right. So like, to me, I think that that's like something that, we need to reevaluate this year.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And I was surprised by this. Closing line value, to give a sense of like what that is. Eric and I get really excited if we place a bet on a team plus, 3.5 on Monday, and it's down to, +3 or +2.5 on Wednesday or Thursday, because, all of a sudden you've gobbled up, 8% or so of probability of winning that bet. And that's value that you're getting on the closing line because you've snapped up a number that won't be available for the rest of the week. And it's really interesting because like when you pointed this out to me, I was like concerned because we were looking at our own model and we were looking at like how much closing line value we're getting. I was like, why? Like, how are we winning but not getting closing line value?
George is referring to PFF Green Line, which against Tuesday numbers is basically in the NFL up like 27 units or so. College is like 30. Against close, it's a little less than that. But we are getting like negative closing line value on those picks. And so obviously there's like a little bit of an issue there. That's what George is referring to. Not necessarily our picks on Monday morning, which have been hit or miss. But.
Yeah, especially with closing line value. Where at the beginning of the season, and this is also interesting, at the beginning of the season, that was something that I felt had more consistency. And we've seen as the season has gone on, it's been a lot harder to kind of, figure out like where the line is going to move. And I think a lot of that obviously is the COVID stuff. I guess a question that I have in thinking about this is, okay, so what? So like what going forward, especially seeing how many teams right now are just getting totally destroyed by COVID. I mean, it's nice to have a model, obviously, like when the players, are on the COVID reserve list, like that factors in the models. You can get those on pff.com, of course. But like, how do you react now?
Yeah. So historically, like, models like Massey Peabody did really well in NFL and college football. And I think the reason for that was because most bettors who were sharp but didn't have a model were sort of overreacting to injuries. And Massey Peabody come in more of a top-down model, did factor in quarterbacks. And essentially they would sort of like capture, I think, the overreaction to things. And they would do well by selling the overreaction. And then people have come in and like folks like, Rob Pizzola and people we respect and, would have player level models, and they've been able to sort of squeeze more value out of the market. And, that's made some top down models less effective. I think in this sense, what you're getting now is like the bottoms up models might not be able to fully capture what the effect of COVID is. Because there are correlations between players. If you have cluster injuries, especially now where you have oftentimes multiple players within a position group getting COVID at the same time. So the one thing that I said this on the BetQL show today, was sort of like, what I think you should do in early marketplaces is look at the line and say, okay, let's assume complete randomness. Which side of the bet is going to benefit the most from variance? And we, obviously we didn't think this way when we bet Raiders plus 6.5 on Sunday night. But that was very clearly the Raiders, right? Because, they get 6.5. If let's say Derek Carr goes down, like the Browns still are limited at quarterback. They have a great team, but they're limited at quarterback. And the quarterback's hurt, right? If the Raiders had to start Marcus Mariota, this thing gets to what, 9.5?
Yeah.
So you could basically benefit from betting Cleveland by 3 points if you get some version of what I call fuckery, right? Mm-hmm. if it comes to the other side, right, you've obviously seen the upside there at 7.5 or 7.5, 8 points. So you're able to benefit more from noise if you bet the Raiders more than the Browns. And I think that's a way to think. So does it mean just bet underdogs? I don't know. But I do think right now where we've gotten caught at times is when we've laid a big price for the team. Even like Green Bay, we took a 12.5 on Sunday before. They closed at 11. And it's like, we still won the bet. Was it a good bet? No, because it closed shorter than what we betted at. Like, I think that's kind of the ethos moving forward is think about, if you're going to bet early, think about how asymmetrical noise applies to this bet and bet accordingly. And then for late stuff, either just lay off, right? It's bowl season. It's bowl season. You can bet bowls if you won't want to bet NFL. Or
bet props.
Or bet props, or follow something else like the weather or something like, or props. I mean, props are slower to go around, and we have a props tool and stuff. So that would be my advice.
Yeah, I also think with props, because they come out later, you have more information, obviously, about what is happening, like kind of more directly associated with that player. So if you're thinking about something like, Justin Jefferson, for example, who should have been a cinch for lock of the week last week, but we'll talk about that later. But really directly how that player is being affected. Whereas with kind of all, as you said, the different correlations, the overall outcome of the game can be a little bit harder to think about how it's being impacted.
And the thing with props that's also good too is there's no equivalent of a bet in the NFL where in baseball, for example, if you bet a game and the pitcher doesn't end up pitching, it's void. Starting quarterback doesn't play. Your bet's still on. And one of the reasons too, by the way, mathematically why people have been getting absolutely murdered closing line value is we have I believe 3 instances that I can think of off the top of my head when closing line value, if you would have won the bet, was like 20%. And that was Cooper Rush taking Dallas for -2.5 to +4. That was Kyler Murray's backup, Colt McCoy, taking a couple bets from like 3 to 4, crossing 0. And in all 3 cases, the team that everybody was betting against because they started a backup won, right? So like that those were, and again, you can't glean that much information from a couple games, but in all the cases, it did kind of feel like, it did kind of feel like one of those things where the markets were overreacting in all 3 cases. But anyway.
Your second take is much better. So we were having a conversation upstairs about shitty wings joints, because there are a lot. And you feel, I couldn't believe this, but you think that wings are just not good? Explain.
Of all of the things that I could eat in that situation, wings are very low.
Okay, what are those things?
Okay, so even adding things that could like have sauces, like wings have sauces, I would rather take like, something like pulled pork. I'd rather take something like,
you're just gonna eat like straight pulled pork.
Well, like in a sandwich or something.
A pulled pork sandwich. Okay. Yeah. So pulled pork sandwich is in the
I would even
class.
So here's a question. So and I again, I'm not the food expert here. I'm just explaining my feelings.
I know.
My feelings.
Tell me about your feelings. This is therapy.
Would you rather have wings or ribs?
Okay, so that is, now you've really stretched, because wings and ribs are on a different
classes of food, right?
Yeah.
But like my thing is, so that's we've established this, right? Yeah. I'm willing, not as willing anymore, because I'm freaking older and I'm ornery. I'm willing to get my hands dirty and eat some ribs. Okay. Mm-hmm. If I'm at a place where wings,
I like where this is going.
If I'm at a place where wings are like the top thing, I'm already losing.
Really?
And I don't want to get my hands dirty on wings. Like that's my whole, like the dry rub, sure. Like stuff like that.
Wow. So it's a cleanliness thing. It's not worth the.
Would you agree with that? Like how high end do wings have to be? And you're a more cleanly, I mean, I'm a clean freak, but you're a bigger clean freak than me. How good does the wing have to be to handle the slippery, like the stickiness, so it's a very good bullshit?
Take. By the way, I'm the kind of guy who I
Gloves?
No, I do not do gloves. But I don't like wipe or clean my hands while I'm eating the things, so whether it's ribs or wings, because I just eat, and when I'm done eating, at that point I clean, and it's a pain in the ass. That's for sure. This is the thing about wings. Good wings are really freaking good and are definitely worth it. 100% worth it. Have you ever had good wings?
Well, that might be my problem is like, as I've made this ascension.
Where are the best wings that you've ever had?
If I had them, they were not memorable enough for me to remember. Okay. Like in my ascension from being burgers and fries kid, by the way, love you, Dad. Burgers and fries kid growing up. That's basically everything I ate at a restaurant until I was like freaking 18 years old.
Okay. All right.
To a little bit more culture, once I got to college.
Every once in a while.
Jesus. To like now, like spending a little bit of money on food. I've never in the process of that time been like, man, I'm going to spend a decent chunk of change today. I want wings. Sorry.
Well, the nice thing is that they generally don't cost a lot.
But let me
ask you this. Have you ever been to a Wingstop?
Yeah.
Okay. And you didn't like those?
I mean, again, it's like,
those are like, that's like the floor, right? Like,
yeah.
That's like,
yeah, but it was also just
that was like when I was in college and it was like, hey, you want to get wings? And we would go get
but it was also just like
lemon pepper.
What am I doing here? My hands are dirty. The
sauce variance is something that you have to figure out.
And that's what I said upstairs too, where it's like you're also just taking a freaking gamble, right?
You are. You got to know it's good. You definitely have to know it's good. I'll say this. I found that the best wings it's actually relatively easy to make very, very good wings at home. And that is something that I appreciate. Whereas like ribs, it's obviously a little bit more of a production. I can't believe you don't
So I salvaged the take, didn't I not?
I think we just need to get you some good wings.
Okay, but
we went to, not you and I, but Austin and I and a group of people at PFF went to a place that shall remain nameless that had wings that I don't know what they were made of, but it wasn't chicken, and I don't know what the sauce was, but it wasn't good.
That's what I'm saying.
But I also like the fact it remains that good wings are very, very good. Okay. That was the target take of the week. Before we get to the week 15 slate, if you are looking for a place to make some wagers, DraftKings. The DraftKings Sportsbook is the no-brainer place for you because with promo code PFF, you can bet just $1 on any team to score this week and get $100 in free bets if they score. It's that freaking simple. As long as you're a new depositor, that will be available to you with promo code PFF. And if the sports book is not legal in your state, because there are some out there that are not, you can still get in on the action, whether by playing DFS, Daily Fantasy Sports. And by the way, PFF has a DFS optimizer for you to make it nice and easy to get some skin in the game and have some fun. Huge cash prizes, plus a free shot at $1 million for everyone after they make their first deposit. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use promo code PFF, bet $1 on any team to score and win $100 in free bets. If they score, you score. With promo code PFF at DraftKings Sportsbook. You must be 21 or older in New Jersey, Indiana, Pennsylvania only. New customers are the ones that are eligible. Minimum $5 deposit, $1 wager required, one per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, we're into the Week 15 slate. We should talk about Thursday night. Kansas City, Los Angeles. In Los Angeles, the Chargers are a 3-point underdog in this game. Got out to about 4.5.
That was with this is another example. We talked about this last week of when, maybe it was on the PFF betting podcast, but it was like the one set of new. So it was the Chiefs. All the Raiders guys are out one day.
Yep.
And it gets to 10.5. And then L'Jarius Sneed's out the next day and it gets back to 9.5. This was one where the Rashawn Slater COVID news came out, got out to 4. Chris Jones COVID news comes out, gets back to 3. And now it does look like on balance, the Chargers are going to be better off in this one. Derwin James, Austin Eckler are all questionable. But for the Chiefs, L'Jarius Sneed out. Brother got murdered last week. And then Willie Gay is out. And then Chris Jones is still up in the air. Like, that would be a big one. But this game has a little bit of like non-completeness to it.
Talking about Chris Jones, across the defensive line, especially on the interior, has not been good. right? Derek Nottie just 67th out of 125 defensive interior linemen, and Mr. Jarrett Reed at 97th out of 125 defensive interior linemen. The Rashawn Slater thing worries me though. His replacement,
Trey Pipkins.
That's a little concerning. He has played a total of 27 snaps, 5 at tackle, and has a PFF grade that has never eclipsed 65 in his career. So that worries me because it exposes a little bit of the Justin Herbert under pressure a little bit more, even though we expect him to like be better than average. In most situations, when under pressure, you just don't know. And as you said, Eckler and James both questionable. That leaves a lot out there. I do think for that reason, Chiefs -3, avenging a loss from earlier in the season is where I would go.
So Herbert this season went under pressure, 51.3% completion, 5.8 yards an attempt, PFF passing grade of 50.1. It's actually interestingly when we talked about this. I talked about this earlier in the season. It was 5.0, so he's gotten a little bit more efficient. Passing grade's actually gone down through a first interception when under pressure just recently. When clean, 8.1 yards an attempt, 90.5 PFF passing grade, 25 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Very good. Here's the thing with Jones. Jones played half the season or like the first half of the season at defensive end. But when you look among defensive interiors, he's second only to Aaron Donald in pressures.
He's amazing.
He's fourth in PFF pass rush grade. He's a disruptive player. And he's been we talk about why the Chiefs have gotten better. It's been pretty simple. They put Juan Thornhill in the place of Daniel Sorensen. They put Willie Gay in the place of Ben Neiman. And they moved Chris Jones back to interior defensive lineman. And then Melvin Ingram and Frank Clark started rushing the pass.
Upgrades across the board.
Yeah,
in 5 different places.
Yeah. And so Melvin Ingram and Frank Clark are going to have to make their due. It'll be a Melvin Ingram revenge game, of course. But if Jones can play, that would be a huge boost for them. The Eckler thing, if I'm, as somebody who roots for the Chiefs as a fan, Eckler versus Ben Neiman, I'm not going to sleep until that game's concluded. I think
he's going to try and play, by the way. I would be surprised if he doesn't. But the interesting thing about this game, so the Chargers are 8-5, the Chiefs are 9-4. But if the Chiefs lose this game, the Chargers will have the same record as the Chiefs and will obviously have the tiebreaker.
A 60% chance to win the AFC West, and that would be their first AFC West title since 2009. The last part I wanted to talk about, which is tricky. Chiefs are first in the NFL this year in gaining separation on pass attempts, meaning the only one on 92% of passes that screws up what the Chiefs are trying to do are the Chiefs. Drops, missed throws by Mahomes, etc. The Chargers are 5th worst in the NFL with more than 20% of their targets are contested. And I think that's an interesting thing because when we look at the Chargers, I think everybody – you think about it. If Herbert was around when we had analytical edging, man, that
throw he made.
That segment would have it would have been called the Justin Herbert Memorial.
We could just put the video up on the screen and watch.
Yeah, it would have been called the Justin Herbert Memorial edging segment. But
Jalen Guyton.
But why does this offense sometimes not do what it's supposed to do? Right? Why do the Chargers lose to the Broncos? Why do the Chargers lose to the Vikings? Why do the Chargers lose to New England? And it's the little stuff, right? It's the fact that they put some of these things to chance by the very nature of how they're constructed. And so this is one place where if you're looking to back the Chiefs, this is a reason. Okay. No L'Jarius needs a bad one, right? But what do they come at you with? Rashad Fenton was our highest graded corner at times. He comes back from injury, plays the slot, plays okay against the Raiders. Yep. They go with Mike Hughes at the cornerback position. Mike Hughes gets AFC Player of the Week as a reserve.
Rashad Fenton, 84 coverage grade this year, 4th among corners.
And then they back them up with DeAndre Baker, who was a former first-round pick, who's a backup now for them. They're deep at corner. Josh Jackson, former Iowa guy we really liked. He's also one of their backups now too. And the Chargers, who's the Chargers' third receiver after Williams?
Right. It's Jalen Guyton, who, by the way, has been good.
Has been okay, but
has not graded well, but has had moments down the field where he has played well.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So when you look at that offense, it's Eckler. Eckler's a wonderful player. Jared Cook's frustrating as hell. Guyton is up and down. And then they have two amazing wideouts. But what is the Chiefs defense engineered to do? It's to stop wide receiver play. And over the last 3 years, they've been the best at it, basically.
Yeah, it does feel like a game where this was going to be an Austin Eckler, kind of show.
Yeah.
He'd be heavily featured. Without Slater and with, without Slater, that obviously makes you worry a little bit. You don't have Jones on the other side, but man, I don't know. I still, especially with the injury, I feel like that's a tenuous spot to be. Okay, we've covered that game. Where would you like to go next?
Well, let's stick with the games that'll be done before Sunday. Let's go to Indianapolis. The Colts.
The Saturday nighter.
Colts pay. Well, I'm not giving UAB versus BYU. New England at Indianapolis. Total on the game 45. Indoors. Both teams coming off a bye. I know neither team gives you both teams buy their wide receivers a target, but I kind of like over now that I can be convinced that over 45 is the way to go in this one. Jonathan Taylor. My article is coming out tomorrow. Jonathan Taylor averages.
Wait, let's not skimp on this. This is another perfectly blocked runs article.
Jonathan Taylor averages almost 10 yards.
This article is still causing Mitchell Schwartz to wake up in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Sorry, Mitch. Thanks for the Super Bowl. Jonathan Taylor's averaging almost 10 yards a carry on a perfectly blocked run play, right? Damian Harris, Ramondre Stevenson's one of the best backs in the NFL on non-perfectly blocked run plays. I know these teams like to run the football. The issue is that they're both good at it, right? They're both explosive at it too. Harris had the long touchdown that almost messed up our under against Buffalo. I think that this game is not going to be like that 17-13 game. Maybe we thought it was going to be Monday when it came out, and our numbers sort of support that. So that's one way I'm looking at. The other part I like about this New England Indianapolis game is that the total is 45, and so if you're inclined to tease things, so New England out to 8.5 is a perfectly constructed Wong teaser. It's really hard to see Belichick get blown out in a game like this. I can see Indy winning, but I can't necessarily. I have a hard time seeing this be just a humongous blowout game. So those are two angles in this game that are possible from where I sit.
The teaser leg is one that I like quite a bit. If you know me, I like a good teaser leg. I think that over 45. It is a really good spot, and there's a couple of reasons why. The first is both teams rested because of the bye from the previous week. That's exciting. So, pretty healthy there. But the other is that there's this vision in people's minds, certainly, of the Patriots in that game, in the snow and the wind in Buffalo that obviously went under. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, how it's kind of a unicorn event where they just couldn't bring the under down far enough for it to actually make sense. But when you look at the other things that are true that weren't shown in that game, it's that Mac Jones and the passing offense has been really efficient. Mac Jones, 83 PFF grade, 102 passer rating when clean. He's making a big time throw on over 4% of his passes. To put that in context, that's higher than both Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes. Now, he's certainly not asked to throw as much, but he is putting the ball in really good spots. And then you talked about the run game, a ton of opportunity there for both teams. The Patriots have been really good defensively, but against a team that isn't reliant on the pass as much, I feel like that's a better spot to be in. Their defensive line on the interior, Christian Barmore, who really liked as a pick, his run defense grade is 47.7. That's in the hundreds in terms of rank.
So he's just making big plays in the pass game.
Devon Godshaw is below 65 PFF run defense grade. So there's opportunity there, and
they take it, right. So I was grinding the tape, by the way.
Oh God,
you saw the Instagram account where I made that video.
I did. You made it all by yourself too.
And was it good?
It was really good.
Okay,
impressive.
Okay, I'm looking for the sincerity. Okay,
the keeps is working too.
God damn.
Which one am I lying about?
I don't know. You're one for two somewhere. So but I watched a bunch of Jonathan Taylor explosive plays. and they're all blocked up. Like the Colts' ability to execute a run play is extremely impressive. So.
Okay, so we have over 45 there. I think that's a really good consideration. The teaser leg there as well. What I am curious about is the early game on this slate. Okay, so I want to check the weather here. So we have Raiders going to Cleveland to play the Browns. I believe no Darren Waller in this game. He's questionable. I
think everybody's questionable.
Everyone's questionable. Obviously, the Browns have a ton of people on the COVID-19 list, and Kareem Hunt doubtful. One of the players on the list is Baker Mayfield. But that's kind of my question here is like, should Baker Mayfield really make us that concerned about the Browns scoring points?
No, the reason we liked the I'm going to call them Oakland until they get over this win total. The reason we liked Oakland was that Baker's not that good, right? Like why should Baker be laying 6.5 against anybody?
Yeah. So the total in this game, Eric, is 38. 38.
Yeah.
38.5 actually is what I'm seeing now. But 38.5 is so low.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically New England, Buffalo in the blizzard. Now, the weather is not going to be great. It'll be a little above freezing, 37, 15 mile per hour winds, light rain.
Case just nails though. That's the thing.
I don't have a problem with Case Keenum in this game. I'm not that concerned about it. I really am not. So 38.5, I'll take the over. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Just not buying it.
That's a good shout. I will.
And look, if you're going to celebrate the first Saturday of real football, which is what this is, because we've been dealing with brutal college football.
I went to real football on Saturday.
Yeah, okay. That's right. Yeah, Army, Navy. Okay. Where would you like to go next?
All right. New York Jets at I'm just kidding.
No.
There was actually a really good article by Ben Solak about how Zach Wilson has like just not been good. There's like nothing redeeming about him. And I feel so owned. I thought I watched a few of his games and I'm like,
I'm just impressed that Ben was able to like, hey, you know what'd be a really cool story? Like Zach Wilson just hasn't been good. Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, there's a kinship there, though. Both look like they're 12 years old. Like it takes one to know one. I feel like in the case of that article. But okay,
so not that game.
Not that game.
Good. Let's keep it moving then.
All right. Here's one I like. Carolina at Buffalo under 44.5.
Interesting.
Yes.
I
got burned by the Buffalo under last week against Tampa Bay.
Here would be my concern about this, honestly. The Panthers suck. I mean, they suck. Mm-hmm. Cam Newton has an 81 passer rating when clean. But they're going to bring PJ Walker in, play him a little bit. Both he and Cam are a disaster waiting to happen. And the Bills are in we need to like feel better about ourselves.
Yeah, they need to increase their BCS rating. But
right.
Here's the thing. I think Matt Rule is coming in here and he's going, oh no, why did we fire Brady? We fired Brady because Brady wasn't running the ball enough.
That's what he did last week, and that didn't work.
But why didn't it work? Why did they lose? They lost because Cam threw a pick six.
Right.
What's the solution for pick six?
Philip Walker.
More running the ball. Like I know. Look,
they gave up 29 points to the Falcons.
I'm sorry, George. Where are the Falcons are one game worse than the Bills in the standings.
Stop.
Falcons, by the way, that's a joke. That's a joke. I'm sorry.
I also think the Bills kind of found themselves in that second half against the Buccaneers and should have won that game.
By the way, so you just whipped out this found themselves thing. I've gotten a few messages from friends who are like, I can't believe George gave you so much shit for saying teams quit. And I was like,
that's interesting because I got messages saying, is Eric on?
Yeah, I know it's weird. Yes, but the issue is, yeah, it was weird. Like I feel like you don't think NFL teams quit, but you think they can be rejuvenized like a game like Buffalo just did.
So there's a big difference between we were talking about the Jags, by the way, and if you didn't listen to the podcast, you should just go listen to the rant about the Jaguars. It was totally unintended, and I thought it was kind of funny. The idea of finding themselves, though, is interesting because I do think that there are kicks in the butt, so to speak, that force teams to do things that get them on the right path. And I actually think we saw that with the Bucs last year when they were getting curb stomped by the Chiefs. And even though they end up losing that game, it helped them quite a bit, right? They realized how they should play defense against the Chiefs. They started throwing the ball more, started using play action on early downs a little bit more. And I thought for the Bills that, we have a lot of faith in their offense. Their offense was really good last year. They have not been as good this year. But, they were going up and down the field against the Bucs.
In the second half. The first half, they had 3 points.
I know. I watched the game. That's exactly what I said.
Yeah. Yeah, they did great in the second half. I think that my thing is I think we're, in both of our cases, most of the time what you and I are talking about, whether it's a team quitting, that's just the Jags being dog shit. And the Bills like finding themselves, that's just the Bills' schedule becoming incrementally easier.
Did it get easier against the Bucs in the second half?
Actually, yes. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the second half of the 2020 season. So they got the Chiefs, which I will.
No, I'm talking about the Bucs that the Bills played.
Well, but like it was a little bit of regression, right? And then what we're going to do from that is we're going to take. Are we really going to go back and take essentially like that?
I'm not saying they're going to be that for two halves.
But like, so here's the thing. Here was the Bucs after the Bucs after the Chiefs game. Vikings, garbage. Falcons, garbage. Detroit, garbage. Atlanta, garbage.
Yeah, Chiefs, garbage. And they kicked their ass. So, they ran the table from there on out.
Washington football team, garbage.
They literally won every single game from there on out.
I know, but I think that's more. So what I'm saying is
they just got lucky.
I'll concede to you a little.
Here it is. Eric is saying that the Bucs last year just got lucky and won a Super Bowl. I'm going to concede. Incredible. Coming from a Chiefs fan, I'm shocked. I am stunned.
I'm conceding to you that what we view as
a wild card team,
momentum
on the road.
Yeah, they drew Taylor Heineke.
I am not talking about momentum. How dare you? I am not talking about momentum.
I'm saying that they got healthy, which is a fundamental thing. It has nothing to do with getting kicked in the pants. And they played a bunch of easier teams. And then they got into games they were 3-point dog to the New Orleans Saints. They won that game. That's great. They got a 3-point dog to the Packers. They won that game. Great. And they were 3-point dogs to the Chiefs. And they won that game. That's not beyond the wit of a good team.
Said that the Bucs Super Bowl's a fluke. You heard it here first. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Let's go on to.
Don't have to give it back.
Let's go. Let's move on to another game here.
Jets?
No.
Giants?
No. It's only a step ahead of the Jets, though, to be perfectly honest with you. And this is the Washington football team.
Isn't Washington banged up? Like, this number's moving out to 7 because we might see the Kyle Allen show.
We very well might see the Kyle Allen show, except Kyle Allen is on the reserve COVID list, I believe.
Yeah, the Washington football team COVID list includes
Taylor Heineke's going to grit it out, though.
Yeah, Willis Reed, Taylor Heineke,
This is a classic. Okay. Everyone on their team is hurt. Terry McLaurin has a concussion. No Chase Young.
Following players placed in the COVID-19 list: Kyle Allen, their backup quarterback; Matt Ioannidis, who's a starter; Cornelius Lucas; Cam Sims, and then prior to that, it was Kendall Fuller, Jonathan Allen. Like this is the one where if you believe that the market is overpriced in cluster injuries, you bet Washington.
You don't think so?
I think Philly is the kind of look. Philly lost to the Giants, so like anything's possible. But
Hurts. Here's the interesting thing.
Hurts might not play.
Hurts might not play. You might get Minshew again. And does the shine wear off a little bit? We've talked.
I'm sorry. Who's the better quarterback, Minshew or Heineke?
Minshew.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's a 7-point favorite.
Yeah.
They're both backups.
Minshew. Yeah.
Minshew's definitely better.
But I think the thing with the Eagles is what do? They kind of grind it out. And
it's true. They're going to want to run the ball, establish the run. But
and
that line,
weak link
the Washington
systems.
line should be a little bit back. Those guys
Jonathan
are eligible
Allen,
to
Matt
come.
United. Like the Eagles should be able to run on Washington, right?
Isn't Allen eligible to come back?
I mean, I don't know. That's part of like the issue. Is
The
like
myth.
Yeah, like because you have Allen, you have Ionitis, Vince Young, or sorry, not Vince Young. Chase Young is on IR already.
Mhm.
So like they're going to be banged up on the line, whereas the Eagles, like that's the one thing that's like the leak. If you bet the under season win total, which I did, the leak was that they're good enough on the defensive front or an offensive front to like maul you.
Can I ask you a question? Why are the Jaguars favored by 3.5?
Well, that's the lock of the week, isn't it? Because I like Houston plus 3.5. I was going to venture into that.
Can we make Houston the lock of the week though? That just feels wrong.
Did you see this tweet that I sent out? You don't watch my Twitter. I tweeted out the amount of WAR generated by every team in the NFL. Top 8, bottom 8.
Mm-hmm.
The Houston Texans have generated 0.2 WAR this year among their players.
Wow.
Like they are literally a team full of R's.
Wow. That's really bad.
But the
Jaguars are worse.
Horrendous.
Yeah.
Is this but like I don't want to get to be the one that bets against Trevor Lawrence when he goes 35 of 50 for 405 against the Houston
I don't know
Texans.
I don't know that that's ever happening. Here's what I think. Well, I'll get to what I think we should do in a second, but I'll give you another one here. Our Atlanta Falcons are playing my San Francisco 49ers. In San Francisco, the Niners are a 9-point favorite. The total is at 46. And I know that the Falcons offense has not been the prettiest thing in the world, but I am here for the over in large part because I think that the 49ers, as they have shown previously, will probably have no trouble scoring against an overmatched team in the Atlanta Falcons. But I'm willing to bet that the Atlanta Falcons, forced to throw the ball to try and catch up, will be able to take advantage of what is not the greatest secondary in the entire world in San Francisco.
Okay. I don't hate that one. I honestly am rooting, like I love you to death, but I'm rooting for the Falcons. I'm rooting for chaos in this game.
I have no problem with that. I'm not.
Like,
there's nothing wrong.
Over
with
win
that.
total would hit.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
I'm here
for
for
us.
the over win total, honestly.
Or over win total would push. We need one more.
Yeah.
They get the Saints at home week 17. But also like it would tie them. Like the Falcons would have a 50% chance basically to make the playoffs with a dub here. It'd be a lot of fun. I do like over. I do like rooting for points there. Let me give you uno mas, and we did bet this on Sunday. I like Cincinnati, Denver over 44. Teddy.
Yeah, I'm here for this one. And this was one that I was thinking about too. And I think it's I think there are some compelling overs for the lock of the week. This is definitely one of them. Joe Burrow, a 90 PFF grade. Been really, really, really freaking good. Excuse me. Really good. Coming off of, a couple of tough losses. This is, they kind of got to get it together. And you look at the Broncos, and the Broncos offense, they have two receivers. I guess you could say three, because Tim Patrick and Jerry Jeudy both playing well. But like Courtland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Tim Patrick are all good receivers. Probably not getting like their fair shake, honestly, with Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback. But yeah, I'm here for this. This just feels like a really low total in a game that in Denver, we're used to like, okay, it's December, like this weather should be really terrible.
58 6-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah, it's not going to be that way at all.
So
I'm here for it. Okay, before we choose lock of the week, and I think we.
By the way, a news story has come out. Former Jacksonville Jaguar kicker Josh Lambo claims he was kicked by Urban Meyer during warmups.
Wow,
the guy just came over there and kicked him.
Real kick in the pants, huh?
Urban Meyer, by the way, can we just here's a little bit of unsolicited and free advice. Thanks. Stop explaining yourself. It gets worse every time.
You don't think he's helping his situation?
No. Look, if Herb, look at me. if you want to stay an NFL coach,
Do you think he does?
that's the thing. I don't even think he does anymore. But
Don't you think he just wants to tend the bar? And
if you want to stay an NFL coach, Herb, I don't want to be a left tackle. I don't want to hear from you. It's better to be like, if we get through the next month and no one's heard of Urban Meyer, isn't that the best thing of all
Can I ask
time?
you a question? I think this is a worthwhile question. What do you think Urban Meyer was getting paid with Fox?
But I don't even think that stuff matters. Like, it does.
It does.
Preposterous statement of the week.
I have a question though. What do you think he's getting paid?
Like $5 million, maybe.
Oh wow, I think it was less than that, but let's call it $1 million.
Okay. Same order of magnitude.
Yeah, so let's say he's making $1 million a year to literally sit and do halftime for college football for Fox. Versus what is he making now? 10 mil?
Yeah.
I mean, as like, you are basically on vacation getting paid $1 million a year. You take that over like the grindiest of the grind.
Okay, I'm back to my statement. I don't think $1 million matters at all to this guy. Like 10 does. 10's a lot.
Okay.
A 1 is kind of like, I'm just like.
But you're on vacation.
Have you seen Phil Simms talk on television? It clearly does not matter.
I've tried to avoid that. That was an incredible clip. Okay, before we pick the lock of the week, our friends at Western and Southern want to make you
$1 million.
Yes, exactly. And they are doing so by giving you the path to financial freedom. It ain't easy.
By the way, that's what Herb's lacking right now, the financial
what
freedom. Like, if he had financial freedom, he could just tell everybody in Jacksonville to go fly a kite.
Yeah, he could also
He doesn't have Western and Southern.
Yeah.
I guarantee you.
They could hook him up with some insurance that he will probably need very soon. But they are giving you a chance to get a completely paid for and fully catered big game party. It's the party that happens in February around the 13th.
By the way, Urban, you had your chance at this. You just decided to lose all but 2 of your games this year.
Maybe Urban will enter the sweepstakes. The way that you do it is by asking a question about anything to our main man, Chris Collinsworth. You can do so at westernsouthern.com/askchris. That's westernsouthern.com/askchris. And when you do so, he will pick a lucky winner and answer their question on his podcast, Chris Collinsworth podcast, on youtube.com. And you will be entered for a chance to win that all expenses paid super big game party. You know what I'm talking about. So go to westernsouthern.com/askchris and get your money right. All right, lock of the week time. I have a proposal. I would like to do a Saturday. Just a Saturday. We'll call it a lock of the week. Maybe we do another one in addition.
Well, we can have 2. There's nothing against the rules.
Nothing wrong with that. Here's what I think about Saturday.
UAB +7 against BYU.
Yes, sure.
Our Blazers.
I have 2 options for you. Okay, I have 2 options for you. One is a teaser. Teasing the Browns out to +7.5. Case Keenum, in case we trust. They still have, by the way, I might add, Myles Garrett. COVID scared of Myles Garrett. With the Patriots out to 8.
I call it the Belichick tease.
That's what it would be.
Yeah. I like that.
Belichick tease. You could also go over in both games. Okay. So we've got the teaser on Saturday.
It's of the Wong variety because you're getting through 3 and 7 with both.
Yep. The Belichick Wong.
Belichick Wong.
Browns at 7.5 and Patriots out to 8.5 on Saturday. Okay. I will now defer and let you pick where you'd like to go with the other locks.
Cincinnati, Denver over 44.
There it is. Cincinnati, Denver over 44. A lot of options on the board. Go to pff.com. Use promo code FORECAST to see all of them right up to game time. We love you. Thanks for hanging out. Peace.